Good morning, Desert Sands Unified School District and Desert Sands Educational Foundation followers. My name is Sean Webb. I'm the Director of Community Engagement and the Director of the Desert Sands Educational Foundation. You're watching Classroom Conversations, where we engage the Desert Sands Unified School District community. I got a short show today, not a lot of information. We're going to kind of recap some things that happened last night, go over our social media with Chef Mary, but I want to make sure to read off our mission statement for the Educational Foundation, as we have partnered, obviously, with Desert Sands Unified School District, but the mission statement for the foundation. Desert Sands Educational Foundation secures funding and awards money to provide supplemental resources that enrich and enhance student learning in the Desert Sands Unified School District. And obviously we do this with partnering with businesses, organizations, as well as other philanthropic agencies in the desert. But why don't we go ahead, we'll bring on Chef Mary here, and we'll go ahead and get the show started. Good morning, Chef Mary, how are you?
Good morning, everyone, and how is everyone in the world of California?
We're doing fine. I know that you had to move out of Big Bear because you had some things going on up there.
Yeah, well, you know, the fires that are coming off, they're close off 38, and they started evacuating people, and it got a little freaky, a little scary for me. I think, you know, I kind of had to maybe moved a little bit prematurely, but my biggest concern was to be out of the mountains safely and to not be stuck in traffic and not create one more old lady.
Oh, well, unfortunately, Mary is connecting via cell phone. As we said, she's connecting from San Diego. She's over at her son's house. As she was sharing, she left Big Bear last night. I'm not sure if you guys saw it, but in San Bernardino County, they issued a warning, and they had evacuation routes going right through Big Bear. And as Mary has shared in the past, she works right at Snow Summit. She works at Bear Mountain. And I see that she's going to be coming back on here, but she works at those mountains. And just to go, 7 or 8 miles in town there, if there's a lot of traffic, that could take a couple of hours. So I know that why Mary kind of escaped that. But it looks like she's joining us back on. Let's see here. Mary, you there? Here we go.
I think we're all on the internet here between school and with David working at home and Maddie on school and me. I'm in Madison's bedroom right now because we're all in our own little corner. Yeah, it was kind of interesting, to see. The last I heard that the fire was a little bit closer, but it's a lot of rough terrain. So otherwise than that, we're here, and tell me all the new things about your program last night.
You got it, definitely. So I'll just kind of move us along here. Before we get to that, Mary, I want to go over our social media updates and so forth. We got, let's check out our Twitter page. Our team of Jan and Mary do a fantastic job with this. But yeah, and Jan Diaz and Mary Perry very well. But let's see, this is a thing that we just retweeted yesterday. This is about the College Board for the FAFSA. So this is the free federal student aid application. So most colleges, Mary, if you're not aware, will not give you 1 penny unless you fill this out first. So that could be a scholarship, that could be a grant, that could be a loan, whatever it may be, but you have to fill out this first. And we've got some great organizations here in the desert that we work with that have competitions for the seniors, and they can win money and so forth for their class. Each of the last couple of years, the FAFSA competition has been won by Shadow Hills High School. Mary Alexander over there, she's been on with us, and she does a great job with helping promote students to fill out that FAFSA, because that's exactly what it is. It's federal aid, and it's free money. So we encourage all of our seniors to apply for that, and it opens up October 1st.
Oh yeah, of course, that's a great opportunity.
So one of our good friends that we know, Mary Perry, she sits on the board that helps plan this. This is kind of cool. In years past, we've partnered with Agua Caliente Casino, and they basically have given us every open space, and we've invited hundreds of colleges from around the country there. And it was an all-valley college fair where we included Palm Springs, Desert Sands, and Coachella Valley Unified. So since we can't have those type of events anymore right now, we're teaming up with the next Think Big, where this is all virtual. So you can go to this website here, ntbweek.com, during those times, starting this weekend, as well as and then in Monday in October and then a Sunday in November, where you can take virtual tours of many different colleges, as well as like we have opportunities for people to ask questions on our format. Like, you know, sometimes where we have the Bitly going here where you can submit questions, you could do the same thing there. And I know that some of the videos can be live and some of the videos can be pre-recorded, but somebody will get back to you and answer your questions. So they're offering, yeah, so they're taking virtual tours of colleges all over the country. So it is pretty awesome.
Yeah, I'm kind of amazed. I've been talking with some of our friends who have kids going to college, and the amount of work that's involved in it, and the travel, and the meetings, and the expense of, you know, looking at a college campus, looking at their living conditions, you know, what the surrounding areas are like. It was really an eye opener when I saw, you know, the amount of time that sometimes, you know, they said they were starting in their junior year, and you kind of wonder, why are you starting early? But it was like a whole year of travel, paperwork, you know, visiting campuses, talking to, you know, educators. It's kind of interesting.
Oh no, now with the virtual format, you can, you know, we can meet with counselors, professors, people at the colleges, universities this way a lot easier. And that's what they're offering. So it's pretty awesome when they're doing that. As we've been sharing, as Dan was on last week, yesterday was our first day of the new grab and go meals, as well as the first day of our new times from 7 to 9:30. I'll share some video with you later, but I went and visited a couple of our, Indio schools, one elementary and one middle. I'll share about that in a second here. But we want to say that all of our school sites, Mondays and Wednesdays from 7 to 9:30, we have meals available. And all you have to do is say, you got to be under the age of 18 and you get that meal. Yeah. And I'm sure Maddie has that same opportunity as well.
Yeah, Dana was telling me that one of their friends went to get a grab and go meal. The kids said it was they never had. So there must be really good things going in those little bags because they were excited to have their meal.
Oh yeah, definitely. And you know, a lot of times I still remember Fiestada Day from the lunches I had when I was in elementary and middle school. You know, there's certain things that students always remember that they loved eating. So I agree with that completely. Another thing that we just retweeted and sent out was Indio High School. Their counseling department is advertising about September Suicide Prevention Month. And one of the things that I shared with before, we have an amazing anonymous reporting website that we've partnered with pssstworld.com. So they're highlighting that, as well as providing different resources for students for suicide prevention. So we have those available for our students. So that's basically what's going on Twitter. But let's go ahead and we'll check out our Facebook. So Facebook yesterday, I did a couple of live presentations for meal distributions. And so there we are live here. You can see that. You can see the information we shared. But this one here, I'm not going to play the video, but I was on location yesterday. You can see almost 1,000 people already watched it, which is kind of cool. But we got to highlight Kennedy Elementary School and Mrs. Rice over there. And Mrs. Rice is the principal there. One of the crazy things that's been going on, you know, one of the silver linings that's been going on during this whole pandemic is her school's been under construction. And before the pandemic, they weren't slated to open until about, I believe it was March of 2021. But because of the pandemic, they're able to power through. And I believe they're going to be in the actual doors of the campus in November. So the office staff will be working in November from that office there. So that's pretty awesome. Let's see here. We also visited Indio Middle School with Mrs. Hartman. Real cool thing with Mrs. Hartman, she's the principal there, and she also has her children that go to school there too. So that's pretty special. But you can see, geez, we're almost near 1,000 views and likes. And with that video, people were really impressed with what's going on in Indio. Like, you know how La Quinta has the culinary and the medical health academy and public service? So Indio Middle School, Mary, has a focus on medical as well. So yeah, it's pretty awesome when they have the blood drives in the district that not all the time do the high schools win, but sometimes the middle schools win because they're intaking people to donate blood and so forth. So they're part of that intake process for the medical day. They don't actually draw the blood and so forth, but they're part of the intake process so they can just kind of see hands-on work what working in the medical field is like.
Oh, that's awesome. That's good to know.
Yeah. And I know I showed this. Oh, go ahead, Mary.
I was watching one of the TV stations last night, and I'm trying to, it was, because, we have like Spectrum up there or something, but they did a film presentation and it was tagged that it came from La Quinta High School. It was an article, I think it was on suicide prevention, and it was a cartoon all done in black and white. And then over on the left-hand side, I just barely caught the tag end of it. Do you know anything about that?
I don't, but now that you said it, I'm definitely going to research that. You speak of La Quinta High. I'm actually hosting all of their counseling staff tonight, where we're going to have a senior night. So I'll definitely have to bring that up. That's awesome that they're being highlighted, because I was just going to share about, how I showed this picture the other day. So not only is this an amazing photo where one of our Indio High School grads, mimicked this amazing painting, but this is in a Getty magazine, a Getty book. She has a couple things there that are in the Getty magazine and book where it's a whole series. So this teen, that's her and her dog, right? They went ahead, and that's one photo there that they kind of.
I love that.
Yeah, isn't that great? Well, here's another one. If it pops up here. Gotta love the internet when we got things going on, right, Mary? So here she is in the actual Getty book, where these are other people from around the country who did the same thing, right? So it's just amazing. And then look at this one here. Look at the art here. I can appreciate the pug. I'm a pug lover.
I mean, what a great fun thing to do for an assignment, to have like your own pageant of the masters. That
exactly.
Find a picture and then you replicate it by how you interpret it. Exactly.
So that's what we got going on social media wise. A lot of great things. I will say that with tomorrow being September 11th, all of the schools will have their flags at half mast, and I know many of the different school sites will have virtual announcements and so forth going on in regards to honoring September 11th, Patriot Day, and so forth. I'll say when I was at the school site, it was always great to hear our U.S. history teachers or any of our history department provide information for the entire school to share with our staff and students about 9/11. But so that's what's going on for the rest of the week at schools. I do want to share with you about the Going the Distance webinar, where we taught, this is kind of cool, we taught our transitional kindergarten. These are our youngest students in the district through 5th grade, and their families, how to use technology and so forth. So we had a webinar last night where over 200 English speakers were on the live call, and then we had 45 Spanish speakers that were on the translated call. So almost 250 people that were fully on for over an hour to learn about everything that's going on with either of attendance as well as strategies to navigate through technology. So the first part of our meeting, Mary, we talked about attendance. Talked about Senate Bill 98, where it defines distance learning, and it talks about how distance learning is not just the synchronous time, but it's also the asynchronous time. So that's the synchronous is like where you and I are right now. We're talking, we're interacting, just like if we had a class full of students, this would be the synchronous time. But the asynchronous time is where we're giving them an activity to work on. And we kind of give some more definition about what daily live instruction is. Our number one goal, and I'm sure Maddie's teachers are the same way, is they want them seated there for their session. They want them to be participating with that. But we know, as well as the state knows with SB 98, that there are going to be times where some of our families have to find childcare, as they can't leave their 3rd grader at home all day, their 2nd grader home all day. So there are alternate participation ways to gain that attendance, so you're not marked as absent. So there are alternate ways. And the number one thing here, Mary, is communication, right? If you can't make an assignment, you can't make an actual day, just communicate with your teacher, communicate with your office staff, your school, and make sure that they're aware. That's where it comes down to. And then we also went over technical difficulties. These, like I said, these are our youngest students that are logging in for the first time with their parents, grandparents, whoever it may be. So we gave keys and tips on how to log in and how to get technology support. I've shared before that my office is back in technology, so I hear the phones ringing, and they're fantastic. They answer, they solve a lot of problems in less than like 30 seconds on the phone. So that's pretty cool. School absences, this is the same thing as it is during the school year. Once again, communication is key, right? Communication is key. We have things that we have where we can legally excuse the absence based on the state of California, and there's things where you can also call in to just notify. But all in all, communicate with us, let us know what's going on. Each of the different school sites have different protocols and ways that they report absences. We also go ahead,
just
Mary.
the meeting that I had yesterday with Big Bear, that was one of our big topics, was communication.
Mm-hmm.
To keep all those lines open, whether it's written or verbal or email or something, so that you have an opportunity to go back to look at it. Maybe you're too busy at the time, but that seems to be the focal point of everything right now, is just incredible open communication and understanding.
Yeah. And you'll see when we get to the technology portion, the different ways of communication that are available are pretty amazing. But so as I shared, the first 10, 15 minutes of our presentation last night was all about attendance, because we realized, like we can have people putting questions through the Bitly there. People were putting questions about attendance, so we made sure to address that. Now, this talked about the re-engagement plan. So if we have students that are not making it to class, that are not logging onto Zoom, that are not communicating with us, that's when we're going to reach out. And so missing 10% of the school year. So if you miss, 1 day out of 10 days, we're going to be contacting you. And that's where our site administrators, our counselors, our staff is going to reach out. And we're going to be doing that. It's pretty amazing that we have these things called school attendance review teams. It's the SART. And then we also have the school attendance review board. Now, if you're at the SART level, that's at the school site. So that's typically with your teacher, your counselor, maybe your school psych if you have some things going on, your site administrator. But what's cool with the attendance review board at the district level is they bring in the community to help out if there's some things that are in need. So we definitely have all the resources. And as we've been saying, Mary, it comes down to one thing: communicate with us. Let us know what's going on, and we can definitely help out. And number one, we want our students to focus. Hey, we want you on that live instruction every day as much as possible. I know that it is tough at times, but we need you there so the students can learn and be ready for the next day, the next chapter, whatever it may be. But then after that, so that was the attendance piece, Mary. Then we also had the going the distance students for parents and for TK through 5. This was really cool. Mr. Kent and his team did an awesome job talking about technology. But they started off with this: 7 reasons why it's important to let your students and kids struggle. We've had a lot of parents that have been entering questions and so forth about issues with getting on Zoom and being frustrated, issues with being knocked off and being frustrated, not seeing. Yeah, and it's okay to struggle. There was many times where I'll admit it, I'm a crier. When I had things in school, I would definitely get upset, and my parents were okay with that. My teachers are okay with that, but it happens. And I'm sure you had, times where you've seen Maddie or even your own son struggle, and it's perfectly fine.
Well, and I think you have to have that outlet or that avenue, and whether it's, writing it or telling somebody, or even like yesterday, making that decision to leave. I finally just went, I'm out of here. I'm just out of here. And it was kind of a relief to make that decision. I think sometimes it's hard to make decisions and understand where your struggles are. And then once you accept it and realize that you do have a problem and you are getting into a problem, it lets you get out of it much faster.
Yep.
You become more proactive is what I want to say.
And I won't say the principals' names, but I've been talking to a couple of the elementary principals, and they said the funny thing is a lot of times it's the struggle isn't so much the students, the struggle that the parents are having with the technology. And the students can easily do it, but then sometimes the parents are doing what they're supposed to do. And I do the same thing with Brooklyn. I parent too much, right? But let them step back a little bit. Let your students go ahead and experience this. A lot of the times they can work right through it. Yeah. But let me move on here.
I think when you've got parents that are already, at home and struggling with their own, professional or personal life, and then you have this new experience with this virtual learning, I think it just puts those anxieties up a notch.
Yeah, definitely.
And you realize you have to come back down. It's like running a kitchen. I always wanted to keep my kitchen low key so that to the point that you start yelling.
Of course, most definitely. So one of the things that we're all of our students have to do is they have to log in through Student View. Okay, and that's with their Google information, Google password, username and password. The username is they enter their they enter their username. We don't have to go into the details of that. And then the @MyDS is already pre-populated. But what's cool is once they go ahead and log in, they're on a system called Clever. And with Clever, as you can see here in the icons, it's kind of almost like once you get into Clever, it's like your cell phone and you have your different things on your phone for your apps. That's exactly what that is. It has the apps for Synergy. It has the apps for the different things that they're going to need for Google Drive. It has all their different curriculums that they're going to need in all their different Google Classrooms. So we try to make it as simple as possible for the students to log in and so forth, as well as for our families. And as I said, this is Clever. Clever is the one that gets them to that screen. Once again, they're going to use their Google username and password. Now, there is one curriculum that we're still working with technology on to get as part of Clever, and that's our math. That's our math technology. And regarding the math technology, we have to actually still go through the Google Waffle. So those of you that have used Google Drive, it's the 9 dots in the top right-hand part of your screen. But once again, you're going to log in with your Google password with that, and that's pretty simple. And then one of the programs that we use for our families is called Seesaw, and we use this for our students in the classroom. So once again, have to go in through Clever. Some people have been sending in questions saying they're having issues with Seesaw. Well, Seesaw is beautiful where it has its own app, but we need our students to go in through Clever. So go in through Clever and then go to Seesaw. Then it should be able to be the easier way to go in. But the thing with Seesaw is in the future, Mary, this is kind of cool. And if you are on one of the contacts for your granddaughter and they're using Seesaw, they can share with you via your phone an invite to your granddaughter's classroom, and you'll get on your phone, okay? And then you can click in the app, and then you can see her work, and then you can comment on her work. Yeah, it's almost like an Instagram feed for your family to see your students' work. And there'll be different assignments that sometimes will be public. You get to see everybody's, and sometimes you'll just see your own granddaughters. But only the ones that are signed up to share with everybody will have that kind of signed off and so forth. But it's a great way to have interaction even more so with your child, and that's all done via Seesaw.
So is that with the teacher or with the students that you make?
So the teachers have an account with the student, okay, and they log in through Clever. But then there's a special program for the parents that the teacher will invite them to join, and that'll be directly for the parents, so they can interact with the student and the teacher all in the same format. It's kind of neat. It's kind of neat. It's kind of pushing us a little bit. Yeah, it's kind of pushing us a little bit, but it is really cool how this is kind of developing. And we want to remind all of our families, for anything that's being pushed out regarding the apps, regarding Google Classroom, whatever it may be, make sure to check your spam folder and your promotions folder, because sometimes it just gets sent in there. You know how websites or email servers sometimes just go ahead and push all your spam mail somewhere. Same thing with, so Google Classroom has a thing called Guardian. Exactly that. You're the guardian of your child, your student, and you can oversee everything that they're doing in Google Classroom, and you will get an invite from your child's teacher as well from that too. And this is all available on our district website and the parent resources, where they can look at this too. And we gave
so much work.
What's that?
I said you guys have done so much work.
You know what? I'll tell you, the Ed Services team over here, Mr. Kent and his team, as well as our technology, everybody at the district office has been going above and beyond to make sure that we have everything available. Here we give some best practices for the student devices, as well as if there's issues with signing on. And if you're somebody that can kind of figure things out, go to our district website, and this presentation is available on our parent resources. And each of those are directions. So these are all live links. So it has the English as well as the Spanish directions for the kindergarten tablets. Talks about Google Chromebooks for first grade and so forth, and talks about how to do updates. So these are a lot of things. If you can do a couple steps on your own tech-wise, you can definitely figure this out. And that was basically the whole presentation last night. It was pretty exciting to see. Like I said, we had like 200 that are on the English call throughout the whole time. And then I contacted our translation services, and they had over 45 to 50 the whole time, and for Spanish, wanting to know everything that's going on. So, we're going to continue to present this information as long as people want to hear it.
Yeah, and I think like we said in the past that, to keep repeating it, because sometimes you hear it and then you hear it again a second time, and then sometimes you forget, and then you just go, oh yeah, I remember, it's coming back out again. I mean, it's very typical of any meeting that you're in. It's just nice to have things brought up again, just to sort of a little reminder, of information. You think, well, was it really red or blue? Then they go, oh yeah, it was really red. So no, I think I think this format is really, really good.
Definitely. So I want to give you a little bit of a heads up. Next week, I think one of our visitors will be a friend of ours that used to visit you in the kitchen all the time, Mrs. Wood, Kristen Wood, our new LCAP coordinator. She'll talk about what her new job is at the district office here. And maybe she'll give you a little update on how Dylan's doing, because I know that you like to know about how your former students are doing and so forth.
Oh my, yes, I can't. He's been out of school, 2 years now? Is almost?
I think he's all done with COD. I'm pretty sure he's on to Cal State now. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think he graduated the last year I was there, and I've been gone a year.
Mary,
I remember
2 years now.
Do what?
It's 2 years now.
2 years. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
He was like a very quiet person in our culinary program. And then it's kind of interesting what you don't know about your students because you're so busy. And then when he graduated and he was in the front row in the white coats, I was like, I had no idea that I mean, it's always a nice surprise. And I guess sometimes you have to pay a little more attention to who's actually sitting in the seats in front of you. But a super nice kid. I mean, just a pleasure to have him around.
Definitely. Well, Mary, I hope that you can get back to your home soon. And I hope that these fires leave, because as I'm looking out the window, it's very hazy. As well as I know, I was supposed to come visit you this weekend, and we'll just have to plan that for another weekend.
Yeah, I just heard from one of the girls that I work with that they're evacuating animals from the lower part of the mountain, and so they're trying to have people help relocate them or house them, or I don't know if it's wildlife or domesticated. But it's kind of sad that this is all happening.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
I think it's
oh geez, Mary with her technology issues. Mary, I think you're kind of cutting in and out, so I think this would be an opportunity where we're going to I think she muted herself, but let's see here. Sometimes we have issues with technology, as you guys are aware. But this will be a good opportunity. I'm going to go ahead and kind of wrap up for today. We will catch up with you on Tuesday and Thursday next week with Classroom Conversations. And please be aware that I'll be highlighting some more of our school sites by visiting our partners at our different school sites for meal distributions next week on Monday and Wednesday. But as a reminder, please catch us tonight. I'm going to be on with La Quinta High School and their counseling staff, talking about everything going on for the class of 2021. A lot of information about the class of 2021, some information that's La Quinta specific, but I encourage anybody who has a high school senior in the desert to definitely tune in to La Quinta High School on their YouTube station. We'll also be producing it here on the Desert Sands Education Foundation page as well as on their Facebook. So please join us tonight. Find out more information on La Quinta High School, their class of 2021, and we'll see you next week for Classroom Conversations. You have a good one. Thank you.